Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to our February Crucial Conversations. It's good to be back in the building, good to physically be back, not just virtual, but we welcome everybody that's online, welcome everyone that's here, and we want to get started. This month's Crucial Conversation is very good. It's a concept that our minister, Sheena Palmer, actually gave to me. We wanted to do something for Heart Month because February is Heart Month, but we also wanted to add in some service because it's probably appropriate with everything that we have going on as the Trinity family that we speak about service, all right? We come together this morning carrying more than just Sunday peace. We carry grief, we carry memory, we carry expectation, and we carry the legacy of a shepherd who poured his life into this place for 45 years, our great pastor, Reverend Dr. A. Lincoln James, Jr. He knew what service demanded. He lived with it consistency, strength, and a heart that refused to quit, even when it was tired. So it's fitting and spiritually essential that today's crucial conversation centers on the heart, not just a reminder of physical health, not just a matter of a metaphor, but as the intersection of both, the heart as a bodily engine and the heart as a spiritual compass. In most settings, the heart is either a medical term or a spiritual one. But the truth is, you cannot separate the physical from the emotional, nor the emotional from the spiritual. The heart is the only organ that is both critical pump in the body and a universal symbol for passion, love, compassion, purpose, and service. One keeps us alive. The other keeps us alive with meaning. And here's the foundational truth. You cannot serve with effectiveness if your physical engine is failing. You cannot lead with purpose if your body can't sustain it. You cannot give life to others if you don't have life in your own vessel. We've heard it 1,000 times. Take care of your soul. But Scripture also teaches that we are stewards of our bodies. We don't own these bodies, but we are responsible for them. Taking care of our physical heart is not vanity. It is victory. It is self-governance. It is a revolutionary act of self-ownership in a world that has historically refused to give black bodies dignity. Let's face the data. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the United States. Black adults are 20 to 30% more likely than white adults to die from heart disease. Nearly 60% of black adults have some form of cardiovascular disease or hypertension, a major factor for heart attack and stroke. Black women are about 40% more likely to have high blood pressure than white women. And here's another sobering fact. Black adults are more likely to die from preventable chronic illnesses than any other racial group in this country. That's not just a health statistic, that's a social, emotional, spiritual, and systemic indicator. The body responds to injustice. The body responds to stress. The body responds to generational trauma. It's not just biology, it's lived experience written on the heart. In communities like Richmond, where highways cut through neighborhoods like Jackson Ward and systemic neglect wrote itself into our streets, stress becomes a psychological imprint. There's a concept called allostatic load, the cumulative wear and tear on the body due to chronic stress. When stress becomes normal, your cortisol stays high, inflammation stays up, your heart pumps harder day after day like an engine that never gets a break. And guess what? Black people carry a higher load than any other group in this country. This is not just emotional distress. This is the bodily response to a lifetime of social assaults, economic deprivation, and cultural marginalization. So when we talk about heart health today, we are talking about healing ancient and ongoing wounds. Now let's talk a little bit about service. Service is not a hobby. Service is not a convenience. Service is sacrifice. The Black church has carried this community through its hardest moments: the Great Migration, Jim Crow and the lynching terror, segregation, the civil rights movement, and economic exclusion. Time again, when systems fail us, the Black church did not fail us. Service in our tradition was never optional. It was our survival. Civil rights were won not by protest alone, but by the servant hearts who labored without spotlight, the choir members who fed, clothed, assembled, prayed, organized, strategized, and stood as a family. That is service. But somewhere along the way, something has changed. Census and psychological data show that Black communities are volunteering at a lower rate than in previous decades. Giving to local churches and institutions has dropped significantly since the late 20th century. And this is not data to shame, it's data to call us back to duty. Service is not comfortable. Service is not about comfort first. Service is about mission. It's about purpose first. Service is the antidote to individualism. Service is the antidote to fear and isolation. Service is what produces movement, not just emotion. So here's the deep connection I want us all to feel today. Caring for your physical heart is a direct reflection of your ability to serve with a whole heart. If your physical heart is weak, you will give weakly. You will lead weakly, and you will love with limits. But when your physical heart is healthy and your spiritual heart is devoted, you are unstoppable. Because service flows out of vitality, not just willpower. When you care for your heart, you are caring for your capacity to love, to give, to nurture, to stand, and most importantly, to endure. This moment we are in, this church, this city, and this year, it calls for a return to a heart of service. Not a service of convenience, not a service of comfort, not a service that just checks a box, but a service that says, I am healthy enough to help my family. I am whole enough to serve my church. I am healed enough to heal others. I am strong enough to carry what others cannot carry. This is hard work. It's not easy. It's not instant, but you better believe it is necessary. So let this be our charge for today. Protect your body like it's a temple. Guard your heart with wisdom and intention. Serve selflessly, fearlessly, and with purpose. Let your health be a testimony and your service be a legacy. Because a strong heart is not just a healed heart, it is a heart that serves others when it's hurt. And that Trinity, that is how we honor the legacy of service left by Pastor A. Lincoln James Jr. That is how we build a fit, faithful, and future-ready family. So everyone who stayed today, welcome to Hard Work. So as we talked about, the physical heart is very important. So I wear a lot of hats. Nurse, doctor, if any of that, I don't. So we're going to bring somebody who has a lot of initials behind her names that leads me to believe she may know a little something about health. Our very own Miss Yolanda Thompson.
Thank you, Deacon Juan. Thank you for the invitation to come and share a little today about heart health. I just wanted to just take a few moments to focus on a theme, a sub-theme, the 10 Commandments for a healthy heart. Now, our scripture has already been referenced by Deacon Juan, 1 Corinthians 6, or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. This emphasizes that believers' bodies are sacred, owned by God through Christ's sacrifice. So we should honor him. Okay, so I would like to just start with 10 commandments. The first is thou shalt embrace movement every day. Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate, intense exercise per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous activity. So I won't be doing 75 minutes of vigorous activity. So I know I'll be going to the moderate, small, low impact, but we gotta start somewhere. So every small burst of movement, like brisk walking, gardening, whatever works for you, just be consistent with it. Thou shalt fuel your body wisely. Choose a balanced diet of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean protein. You want to limit the amount of saturated and trans fats, processed food, and added sugars. So, how many of you all know the plate chart? Okay, so the plate chart is what we should focus on. So when we fix our plate, at least half of that plate should be our fruit and vegetables, if you just can be visual. Then the other quarter would be your meat, and then another quarter, your starch. Okay, so that's kind of just in a nutshell. So when you have spaghetti, that whole plate should not be spaghetti. I see it all the time. I know it's fact. So it should be at least a balance. So make sure you have those vegetables on the side and everything else that's appropriate. Thou shalt befriend fiber. Fiber helps to lower the cholesterol, manage your blood sugar, and both of these are crucial to heart health. So you want to include your beans, your lentils, your whole grains, and your fruits to increase your fiber intake. And I hope people are doing even just little things like wheat bread versus white bread. Or you can go in the middle and do some type, just not full white bread. Same with rice and spaghetti. So that's just an example. Thou shalt not skip the sleep. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night. Poor sleep can contribute to high blood pressure and other heart risk. Establishing a relaxing bedtime routine and create a sleep conductive environment when you get ready to go to bed. Thou shalt manage stress. Chronic stress can take a toll on your heart, so you want to practice those stress management techniques. Meditation, deep breathing, spending time doing what makes you feel good, whether it's in nature, whatever it is. Music, just want to go ahead and manage that stress. And keep in mind, there are some things we can control, and there are some things we cannot control. And I know we let the things we cannot control bother us when it shouldn't, but that's human. So try to focus on managing those stress experiences. Then thou shalt partner with your doctor. So one of the things you want to do is schedule regular visits with your provider. And it's not always a doctor, it is a provider. It could be a nurse practitioner, PA, but you want to have those routine checkups because they are crucial for a plan that will be made just for you. And you want to make sure that you try to adhere to that plan as close as possible. When you go back for your next checkup, there is a progress and a reevaluation. Thou shalt stay hydrated. Water is essential for overall health. Water does a lot for our plumbing, our sweat, everything, you name it. We need water. So how much should we aim for per day? How much water? We want to aim for 8 glasses of water per day. If you're nowhere near that, start somewhere and gradually. You all see these big cups that people have now, they even have it on there. And then what to do at the half day, halfway, then you refill it again. and it just gives you an hourly check, because some people need that encouragement. If you need it, get it. But if you can do it on your own, just strive for the 8 classes. Thou shalt quit smoking. Smoking is a significant risk factor for the heart disease. If you smoke, or you're experiencing secondhand smoke, or all those other vaping things that's going on right now, there's not a lot of research out there, but there is research. So we want to stay away from those, because that's one of the single most impactful steps that you can take on the journey is to improve your health, is to quit smoking. Thou shalt know your numbers. Monitor your blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar. Understanding these numbers help you to manage your health and make informed decisions. I'm just going to ask somebody, what is the normal blood pressure? Okay, less than 120 over 80. Less than 120, so 120 or less at the top, and then 80 or less for your bottom number. Anything over that, I got a little chart down here, have some handouts. Anything over that, start putting you in another category. So look at the charts, and that can go up to stage 1, stage 2, hypertension, and then hypertensive crisis. So we definitely want to avoid that. So not only do you know your numbers, you want to make sure you do things to bring those numbers down. So review the literature. Again, make a plan with your provider to help do that. Then you also want to, or thou shalt, celebrate small victories. So you want to acknowledge and celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Every action really contributes to making a greater success plan with healthy heart. And we're going to wait for questions. So I was going to just say that a couple of other verses, I kind of jumped over it. But like I said earlier, there are some things that we can control and some things we can't. That is in regard to stress before, but now I'm speaking towards heart health. So with heart health, we can't control our race, we cannot control our gender, and we cannot control our heredity makeup. However, there are some things that we can control, and those were the 10 commandments that I just went over. And those things that we want to do is just referring to another scripture. Those things that we do that are not healthy can become idols or a snare or a stumbling block for us, as it says in the word in the book of Psalms. So I'll leave you with those thoughts, and I'll be ready for any questions you might have. Thank you very much.
She forgot to tell y'all about the 11th commandment. Thou shalt teach thy son how to win a shot shooting from half court at the game. But if you could get those to me, I want to put the 10 commandments up on the site for the, okay, so you got to work. So make sure before you guys leave, she printed the 10 commandments and some other literature. Make sure you pick it up, take it home, study it. I'm going to put the 10 commandments up on the website because we need to start practicing those 10 commandments. But we got an education on physical heart health. Now, we're going to get some education on the heart of service from our very own, who has served as loyally as executive minister and has stepped into the role as interim pastor and doing a fabulous job. Our very own, Reverend Wendy Bullock.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all. I'm just going to give you some quick tips about a servant's heart. She talked about the physical heart. I'm going to talk quickly about the servant's heart. What does it mean to have a servant's heart? A servant's heart is a heart that is submitted to God and sensitive to people. You heard that? Committed to God, submitted to God, and what? Sensitive to people. So we've got to love one another. We got to exhibit that love all the time, even when there are people we don't know, people don't necessarily like, they might be different than who we are. We've got to be able to love them because it's mandated by God. Serving without rest is not holiness, it's disobedience. It's disobedience. Rest is not laziness, it's realignment, okay? Rest looks like refueling your spirit. Rest is not just sleep, but it's spiritual renewal. You got to have time to hear from God. You just can't keep being a busy bee and don't never hear what God has to say. Amen. Rest looks like trusting God. Rest means trusting that God can handle some stuff without you. Okay? I had to learn that a long time ago. The church will survive if you take a break. The ministry will survive if you take a break. You got to get spiritually renewed so that God can speak to you so you can move forward. The ministry belongs to who? God. Not us, but to God. And we have to be reminded of that from time to time. And serving can become dangerous when you don't do these things. If you serve out of guilt, that's dangerous. That's not real servant. Serve out of a need versus being called to it is not real service either. And if you serve while you're ignoring your warning signs of your body that Yolanda talked about, that's not good health. Stress or exhaustion, all of that can strain your physical heart. Dr. Waller has a book entitled Burning Bright Without Burning Out, okay? And that is his testimony about where he was and how God had to give him a wake-up call with getting his body together so that he could continue doing what God had called him to do, okay? So the other thing I want to tell you, there are 3 characteristics of a servant's heart: humility, obedience, and sacrifice. A servant's heart is sacrificial. Jesus willingly sacrificed his life for us. He bore our griefs, carried our sorrows, and was wounded for our transgressions. In the same way, we are called to sacrificially serve others by putting their needs before our own, okay? And there are 5 quick things I want to tell you about having a servant's heart. Because the kingdom works different than the world. We know that. But sometimes we have to be reminded, because Jesus came as a servant. So greatness in God's kingdom doesn't come from being powerful or being praised by men. It comes from being a servant to all. That's how you get recognized and greatness in the kingdom of God. So 5 tips for having a servant heart. First of all, we use Jesus as our model. He was the greatest servant of all. You know, he washed their feet, okay? And we had a foot washing ceremony here one time that we washed one another's feet. And we're going to pray on whether we do that again. But it really is a service of humility. You know, if I can stoop down and wash my sister's foot, you know, I can serve her, and we can serve one another. So we have to look for those towels that we serve with when we wash feet, not titles, okay? Not seeking titles, but seeking towels of service. The second thing is, if we want to be great, we must be least. Third thing, we show our love for God by loving others. Number 4, consider others before yourself. And number 5 is to understand that the heart of a servant, we must continue to look to Jesus. He writes, in your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, and being found in appearance as a man, humbled himself by being obedient to death, even to the cross. And that's in Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 through 8. So the last thing I want to tell you, that the reward of a servant's heart comes later on. Dr. Vernon was talking about after a while. While serving others might not always bring immediate recognition or reward, there's a greater reward awaiting those with a servant's heart. God promises to exalt those who humble themselves before him. He said, if anyone serves me, the Father will honor him. So whoever wants to be great must be a servant. Matthew chapter 20, verses 26 through 28. And most of us here at Trinity are good stewards, and we are good servants. We know how to serve one another. So this is just a reminder that we got to have our servant heart in check, our spiritual heart in check, along with our physical heart check. So when we get those 2 in sync together, you can see how God can flourish in the ministry and in your life. God bless you.
I say thank you, both of you ladies, for bringing some well-needed information to this conversation. I really appreciate this crucial conversation because we kind of got away from our panel talks, which we're going to get back to. But I just feel like as a family, this conversation was important. So different than how we do our panel conversations, if anybody wants to tell what they feel like service is and what it means to them, you can step to the mic, let us know. You can go ahead, Dr. Lucy, because I want to start. I learned a lot about service from Pastor James. He had asked me to go with him to the Baptist convention years ago. And when he asked, I was like, y'all not doing no party. Why you need me to go? But during that trip, just the small nuggets he was investing in me showed me what service is, because he was grooming somebody else. He was taking time out of his day to make sure that someone else got service. And as our relationship grew closer together, I saw what he was actually giving of himself to serve others. And then I saw that he was grooming a new shepherd, and that new shepherd had the exact same heart. When I was going through a lot of things, Reverend Wendy be like, hey, we got a million things going on, but how you doing? How you dealing with so-and-so? Those things mean a lot to service, and we have to find ways to continually bring that back here and remember those things. It's not your title. It's not what you do or where you stand. How do you make other people feel? Who else are you nurturing? Who else are you developing? What are you bringing to the storehouse as far as service?
Thank you. Thank you, Deacon Juan. First of all, thank you, panelists, speakers, for your information. And I can identify with both. I'm going to speak to Yolanda first. Physical part. I'm very poor at that. I have to admit, I'm getting better. I joined ACAC last year, and it ain't free, so I kind of wasted my money because me and Pastor didn't go like we were supposed to go. I'll be saying, come on, let's go, and he was like, I got to do something for the church. And I said, but we got to go and strengthen. So we did get to go at some point in time, but this year I'm making myself a promise to go even more. My niece has joined. Sometimes she'll call me and say, Mama Lucy, what you doing? I'm not going to the gym. But that's something that I promised to do this year. And I'm already energetic. When y'all see me directed, I used to think that was enough, but I found out that ain't enough. I need more. So that's when I joined the ACAC, which is a very good place. And they have the swimming pool and the pool with the water. Don't let me talk over 3 minutes. And they will show you how to use all of the equipment. So yes, I'm getting better. To Reverend Wendy, it is important I preach how you talk to people when it comes to bringing people into church. There's nothing like church hurt, and church can hurt you like no other people, because you don't expect to get church hurt when you come. You don't expect people to be mean to you when you come to church. But if they mean, coming to church don't mean they ain't gonna be mean. They just have to be taught better. You're here to give your life to God, and so there's got to be a difference. Living on the outside of God has got to be a different. Quick story. Don't let me talk too long. Quick story. When and I grew up in church. My mama was a church mother. My daddy was a preacher. And they had us in church all the time. I almost didn't know anything I did outside the church was because I snuck away and did it. And they didn't know. But coming to D.C., I came to D.C. straight out of high school, working for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and I've said, I was in D.C., I was big and bad enough to do anything I wanted to do because I was on my own. I went to church, started going to church after about being in D.C. for about 3 years, 3.5 years. I decided, okay, at least you should at least go and visit a church. So when my mama asked me, baby, you found a church, I wouldn't have to tell an untruth. I could say, yeah, but I went to church. I got 1 minute left, okay. So I'm sitting in church, and I got involved with the choir. And one Sunday, the choir was supposed to do something that evening. Now, I love motorcycles. And so after church, we went home to eat, and we were supposed to come back for 3:30 service. And so a girlfriend of mine called me. She said, what you doing? And I thought, now I knew I had to go back to church. I thought about it for a minute. And I said, wow, what I need to be doing? She said, girl, I got these guys, and they got motorcycles, and we're going to go to the park, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And I thought for about a minute, and I said, come and get me. I'm a motorcycle rider. I said, come and get me. They picked me up. We had a good time. I ain't thought about no church. The next morning, now I grew up in Hampton. Hampton, the crab was a commodity in Hampton. So I ate crabs all my life. The next day, I woke up. I was broke out all over. Don't know what was going on. Finally ended up going to the doctor. The doctor said I had a food allergy. I'm like, well, what am I allergic for? Which food allergy? He said, you're allergic to crabs. I said, I can't be. Because I grew up on crabs. I can't be. Long story short, the Lord reminded me that I made a promise. And I use that everywhere I go. Don't make God a promise. You ain't making me a promise. You ain't promised me that you're singing for me. You ain't promised me that you're doing whatever you're doing in the church. You made that promise to God. And if you make a promise to God, He will bring it back to your remembrance. He brought it back to my remembrance. But I stand here today to say 10 years later, I was able to eat crabs again.
Won't he do it?
I love it. That's why I can identify with both. And that's why I push so hard. Fifth Sunday coming. That's why I push so hard. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Lucy. Thank you. Anybody else? Any questions? What service means to you?
Good morning, church. I'm Jakira Saunders. I'm with the Health and Wellness Ministry, Vice President of the Health and Wellness Ministry. And I actually want to just give a big recognition to both Miss Yolanda and Reverend Wendy, Pastor Reverend Wendy. I had an incident happen around October. So God told me like years ago to slow it down. And I didn't do that because I like to be very busy. And I always can see like where I can fit an idea into something. And I feel like I have to act on it at that moment. Like 2 or 3 years ago, God pretty much told me like, sit it down, calm it down. And I did it for a little bit. And then I was like, oh, I got time now. And then I started filling my plate back up with all these things. And so last year, I don't even know if it was a panic attack or not, but I had a couple of different incidents where God pretty much showed me, like, you really need to slow it down. I was, like, doing too much, and I would have these random moments where I was like, my heart is beating super fast. It's nothing going on. Why am I feeling like this? And, again, I was like, okay, I'm going to slow it down. I'm not going to do too much. My plate clean. I'm getting rest. I'm, like, not doing too much. Oh, I got enough free time to go and do something else, and I started adding things back onto my plate. And so one thing that I learned in 2025 was, what are some of the things that I did throughout the day when I was busy, but that brought me a peace of mind, that brought me a calmness, that didn't make me feel like I was doing too much. And so where I wanted to recognize Miss Yolanda is because my most recent incident that happened was, like I said, around October. And I could not move. I could not see. I had all the blinds covered, everything in darkness for like 2 or 3 weeks. I had to send my daughter with my grandparents because I could not do anything. Had to literally have someone come into my home and clean up. That's just how bad it was. And we had an event like 5 minutes around the corner from me. And I was like, I really want to go to this event. I don't want to allow this, whatever's going on, to make me stay in the house because I need to get up and get out of whatever it is. And so Miss Ilana was like, well, I think I asked Miss Ilana if she can come and get me. And she sent Josh to come and get me, y'all. And it was only 5 minutes away, and we took the highway, and I felt very safe with Josh driving me there. But even when I was there, I was just like, I felt like I still couldn't see. Like, I just felt a lot of stress and tension in my body, but I was like, I gotta get out of it and move through the day. And so there, I walked through the room to go to the bathroom, and there was like a yoga class or like a stretch and meditation class going on. And I said, oh, let me take this. That was something I had already started doing for a couple of weeks that I had gotten away from. And it was something I would like start my day with. I'm gonna start my day with prayer. I'm gonna sit down and maybe like meditate on one verse and not rush to do anything else. Because usually when I would wake up in the morning, I would immediately start my day. And so leaving that event back in October helped me to realize where I really needed to, again, bring more rest into my day, and then help me to bring more rest into my day around like other people. So if I'm seeing other people having a lot of things on their plate, me not saying, oh, I can help you, but maybe me encouraging them to bring a bit more rest into their day as well. Because I've met 30-year-olds, and I'm 32. I've met people who I graduated with who've had strokes, who have had heart attacks, who have had aneurysms, brain surgeries, and I'm like, I didn't think that would be happening in our 30s. So I say all that to say, I think it's so important to have stress management, to really take on like rest and understanding what rest means to you. Something I've been doing over the last couple of weeks is every morning I do some sort of fitness activity because I know that's just something I enjoy doing. My background, I used to dance ballet and dance at Pine Camp, so that was something that used to really excite me. I could be at Pine Camp from, I think we had a dance company, we had to be there from 9 a.m. to like 4 or 5 every Saturday. And I was 16, and now I understand the difference between 16 and 30. But I'm like, I don't think I'm that far away, so I could probably get some of that energy back. So just doing something little every day, even if it's like 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So something I want to encourage the room to do every morning when you wake up, or even just when you're sitting in your car or at work, is just like take a deep breath, close your eyes, and like breathe. And, let your head go forward for a little bit and just let it hang. And then let it go back for a little bit and let it hang. And then to the sides. And just let some of that stress out. So that's what I wanted to share about service. And I think that's helped me to be able to be more present with the youth ministry and all of the other ministries that I'm a part of.
We thank you. And look, I see a bridge between something that Dr. Lucy said and what Jakira was saying. What Dr. Lucy said, she felt like that directing the choir was enough exercise. That's tear. That's wear and tear on your body. You have to train your body for whatever it is that you do in life. So like what Jakira was saying, it's like she's busy, she has to go. Something I want to share with everybody that's in this room that stayed back today. Everybody that's in this room is a leader somewhere in this church. A leader must, it's not up for debate, we must train our spiritual heart more than everybody else. We must train our physical heart harder than everybody else. It's just like a professional athlete. A professional athlete doesn't lift weights like he's in high school. He lifts weights like he plays in the NFL. When you're a leader, you have to train because your heart is taking on more than the average person. You're not coming here sitting in the back of a pew and then going home. You got a ministry with 20, 30 other people that you have to worry about being served. 20 to 30 other people that you have to worry about making sure that they okay, making sure that they can show up. You have to, as Jakira was saying, you're going to have to prepare yourself. If it's waking up in the morning, going to exercise, and that's what I love. Get up in the morning, go do it before anybody else asks you for anything. Get up an hour early and claim that hour for yourself. Before you go anywhere, have a stress release. Because like I said, she crying about 32-year-old legs. Lord have mercy. I trade the world to get me some 32-year-old knees right now. Lord. But her fact is still true that people are experiencing things a lot younger because the world is moving a lot faster. So we have to make sure that we're trained. Everybody in this room is a leader. I need everybody in this room to commit to these 10 commandments and starting today, implementing these things into our lives. All right? Anybody else have any questions, comments, service?
Quick. I know everybody ready to go. Super Bowl Sunday. Praise the Lord. I just want to say, Jakira, I am so proud of you. I thank you for coming up here and just being open. We need more of that. I have a sister that suffers. She do too much, and then, she have breakdowns, and she go into, like a coma almost. It's just, it is important that people realize that this is serious, and just to hear Jakira say at her age, she opened up to us. She let us know that it's just not the old, it's the young as well. And I also like to thank Yolanda because I'm one of those ones who was a bench eater, like to eat what I like to eat, always suffer with the weight. I know better. I know what the numbers should be, and but it felt good. It felt so good just to do bad. But then, everybody telling you, you're going to have to stop this. Then I moved to 50, get 50 years old. Then I see Kendra and Miles just grooming and growing up, and, one be 21, one be 28. And I say, hey, I got to be able to keep going here. I'm wobbling around. So I thank you for having this program and workshop this afternoon because I was guilty myself. I've been an athlete all my life, played basketball, been in the band, did music and running and doing everything. And then all of a sudden, it came to a point where, Lord, I could barely breathe. I walked down there, I said, this got to stop. Dancing and everything. And so looking at the outside, the inside can suffer. So take it seriously, people. Now, I've been on this weight loss journey. I've lost about 38 pounds, right? And Mr. Payne will tell you, he'll tell you, he'll say, I told you put them chips down. Him and I have a whole conversation in the house about some potato chips, And I said, you know what, Ken? You only live one time. Stop making up excuses. Do what you have to do. And then I know that it's important that we serve others. I thank Miss Wendy as well for saying what she's saying. It's not just coming to church. This is a warpath we are on. It's a journey, and it's very important that you know that it's not about me. I come here to serve others, and that's exactly what I do. And Juan, thank you as well, because Juan told me, you can't get tired. Don't get tired. When you're tired, you're not tired. Your body may be tired, but we can't stop. And I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me to speak this afternoon. Have a great afternoon.
First of all, congratulations, because that's 38 pounds is a lot of dedication. And I'd like to thank Brother Ken, because saying put them chips up, that's service. Well, I told you, service ain't comfortable, because service might have got you clucked upside your head. But it's all love. Anybody else have any comments? We have.
I just wanted to come back to a couple of things. First, when I did the commandments, part of that second commandment to fuel your body with the correct things, I left out a big part, and that was alcohol consumption. Yeah. So I know we're in church, and I know church people listening, but I'm going to talk about alcohol for just a minute. And so when it says moderation, that's what gets me. The literature always says moderation. So do you know what moderation means? That is very important. One drink of wine is a 5-ounce glass of wine. I'm not talking about that tumbler. that's up in the cabinet. I'm talking about a 5-ounce glass, wine glass. A serving of beer is one 12-ounce can, not the 40. That's a serving of beer. Men and then alcohol, if it's a whiskey or a vodka or a brandy or something, 1 ounce is a serving. And so what we can have daily is different with the women and the men. So we can have 1 to 2 drinks or 2 to 3 drinks a day. So just that is very important part I did leave off. And then I wanted to just share one other thing. And it's something that our deaconess came up and talked about weight. If you saw me 2 years ago, you didn't see these 20 pounds that's sitting here on my body. I have gained over 20 pounds in 2 years. I am someone that loves to eat balanced food, balanced diets. If you know me, you know I cook. I cook every week, fresh vegetables. Every Sunday I got some kind of good some greens. I cook fresh vegetables. I mix it up, and do leftovers through the week. But I changed jobs. So I became someone that fell into what I preach or teach rather. And that is that exercise and physical activity. I changed jobs. I have a phone that I'm on speaker all day or a computer I'm in front of with 3 monitors all day long. I used to walk all day long for 8 hours. Now I'm sitting there 8 hours, and that makes a difference. So every little bit, I have started getting up, walking down the hall, coming back into my office, every little bit, I know it's gonna get me back to where I need to go. So I just wanted to give you a live testimony that it is true. If we don't do what we should do, it will catch up with you. I wanted to share that.
I thank you for the transparency, because a lot of times we try to hide them stories. Because I know I'm one. I done put on about 10 in the last year. Like you said, got out my schedule of doing things, but it's no excuse. I really think that we should get together and do something where we can exercise here at the church together as a family. I think we really should think about that. And she can lead, because she's been coaching and training. So that's done? That's done? Look, I'll put something else on her plate already. She just said she's taking stuff off her plate. Thank you. I appreciate it. But if that's it, I just want to get some real quick closing comments, because we came here today to talk about hard work, and we've seen that you cannot separate the physical pump from the spiritual purpose. Sister Yolanda gave us a blueprint for the vessel, and Reverend Wendy gave us the vision for the voyage. But knowledge without application is just a conversation. Transformation requires action. As we leave here today, I want to challenge you to take 3 immediate actions to your heart work. A, the physical pulse. Commit to 1 change this week, whether it's monitoring your blood pressure, changing your diet, or simply walking 20 minutes a day. Honor the temple so you can remain in the fight. On your spiritual pulse, audit your service. Are you serving out of a heartache and burnout, or are you serving out of overflow? Reconnect with your why so your service is sustainable. And third, check your community pulse. Don't let this information stop with you. Reach back to a brother or sister who isn't here today in our community. Health is often a lost history. It's time we bring it back to the forefront of our identity. They say the heart is the only organ that starts beating before we were born and doesn't stop until our work is done. If you are breathing today, your work is not done. Let's leave here today not just as hearers of the word, but as stewards of the strength we've been given. Let's protect our hearts so we can continue to serve our families, our community, and our Creator with power and longevity. It's been an honor to moderate this and every crucial conversation. So today, go in health, go in service as we continue to move forward in excellence without excuse. Thank you.